Warning, the Dub Talk podcast contains language and content that may not be suitable for younger audiences. Listener discretion is advised. Please be aware that this episode includes spoilers for Eiken, so be sure to finish the show before you listen. Finally, the opinions expressed in this episode are those of the individual participants and do not reflect the Dub Talk podcast as a whole. Thank you, and enjoy the show. Hello, listeners, and welcome to another exciting episode of Dub Talk, where sometimes people make poor decisions. Oh, boy. Who's out here? Megan, is that you?
Hey there, I slid on into this one.
Oh, is that a show reference and a Whitesnake reference?
Absolutely.
Beautiful. All right, why are you here? You seem smarter than this.
Well, you see, I like pain. No, I hadn't recorded in a while, and I figured, let's get back into the saddle after the dubbies, because, that mentally fried my brain, and I needed to restart myself with, a show that I could, trip on to the very, meaty subject matter that it has.
So meaty and yet so insubstantive at the same time. It's very...
Yeah, it's kind of like eating McDonald's. Except for it's been in a museum showing how it doesn't rot.
Oh, it's like the food in Fallout games 200 years later, still good.
You know, I do think Todd Howard would try to put himself into this. Hi, I'm Todd Howard.
Hi, I'm Todd Howard. I'm going to remind you that you are going to buy Skyrim again, and stop kidding yourself.
Todd Howard here.
We'll be on Elder Scrolls 8, and we'll still be porting Skyrim to things, and you'll still be buying it, you sucker.
Welcome to the new PS 2000. The first game on it is, in fact, Skyrim.
Oh, we have fun here.
I wonder if somebody could make a Skyrim mod where all the dragons are giant bananas.
Probably. If they can make it Thomas the Tank Engine, I feel like making it a giant banana shouldn't be too hard. Yeah, what are we talking about today? Well, friends, we're gonna go back to an old classic. Something that was probably, as someone who got into anime in kind of the very tail end of the 90s, the early 2000s, was probably among one of the first kind of like big name-ish titles that I probably heard about, although not for the reason that, say, you know, something like Cowboy Bebop was a big name-ish title.
Yeah.
Yes, we are in fact talking about Eiken.
A show I learned about its very existence through the cultural anime phenomenon better known as AMV Hell.
You had the more fun introduction. I'm pretty sure mine was just reading like a review of it on some website, and it was just like, this sounds really bad.
See, I was 15 and went to my first anime con, and I made my parents drive me and my friend 6 hours up to it, and my parents raising me at conventions was keep your cell phone on you, here's money, we're going to go hang out somewhere else.
Oh boy.
My parents, as of the age of 16, deemed that I was releasable to go to conventions on my own. Mm-hmm. My father taught me how to use the New York subway system at 15, and the next year just dropped me off at the station and said, have at it.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be fine. Which is funny, because now, as a 30-year-old adult, my mom freaks out at the idea of me stepping foot on a subway. And I would go into the video room, and they would play AMV Hell on an endless loop. And I watched AMV Hell 3 so much that I knew every word to every fucking joke in that video. And that video is an hour long.
Oh dear.
It's an hour and a half long.
Ooh.
It also does have some of the genuinely funniest comedy moments of all time, including the Outlaw Star set to a Star Trek Bohemian Rhapsody. Outlaw Star's a good show.
See, that's dumb, but also, yes? Like, yeah, they're onto
Outlaw
something.
Star's a good show.
Why are we covering that this episode? That'd be great.
One day, put in the comments below, would you like an Outlaw Star episode?
How did Jake Chapman once put it? I could say the most boring episode of this show is one where people try to use a psychic cactus to make people buy bad ice cream.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yep.
The most boring episode of this show is the entire thing.
Yes. We regret to inform you folks that after all the hype, all the legend of Eiken, this is pretty dull.
I mean, like, it hit every rung of the fetish ladder.
It is
like
sorry.
A baby bird ejecting itself from its own nest.
It's almost like a weird art piece. It's like, what if you took all the kind of lousy early 2000s, right before Moe became a big thing, like harem stuff, and just put it all in a big blender and concentrated it down to its pure form, and you get Eiken.
What if you looked at Love Hina and said, that's pussy shit, and decided to concentrate it down into... It's like taking cannabis. And you took the cannabis, and you put it into a blender and extracted the oil. But you were doing a really shitty job at that. And then the feds came. And it's not that they're there to arrest you because of the cannabis. They're here to arrest you because you're a shitty dealer.
One of them's just holding the pot brownie, and there's, like, obvious plant matter in it. He's just looking at you with the most disappointed look in his eyes.
It's like that scene from Scott Pilgrim where the vegan gets pulled over by the vegan police. And he's like, chicken isn't vegan.
Chicken parm's not vegan.
Gelato isn't vegan. Milk and eggs, bitch.
Oh.
This is the milk and eggs bitch of ecchi.
Pretty much. What is Eiken about? Well, not much, frankly, but there is a technical plot description I can read you, so I'm going to read that.
It's about a sin of some of the bikinis people in the show wear.
Mm-hmm. Densuke just enrolled at the exclusive Zashono Academy. He's eager to participate in extracurricular activities, but he never expected to join the mysterious Eiken Club. Strangely enough, every other member is a busty co-ed, and many of the club's activities involve bikinis. But Densuke isn't interested in anyone but the shy and beautiful Chiharu. I think that actually makes it sound like there's more happening than there is.
Yeah, Chiharu is barely in the show. like
the purple hair girl feels more like the main female lead than she does.
Yeah.
Frankly, if you show me a poster and ask me, like, hey, who's the lead girl, I would... Oh boy. Well, Eiken in its totality is only about an hour. I think it only, strictly speaking, technically cracks feature length because it has openings and endings on both episodes.
Yes, somehow.
So let's not waste too much time, because if this episode is longer than that, I'm gonna feel sad. So, this got dubbed by Media Blasters around, like, 2004, 2005, something like that.
That tells you all you need to know.
Yeah, exactly. Who dubbed this? Who is responsible? Well, let's talk about them. First up, we have our ADR director and our scriptwriter, both of whom are people who I am not familiar with. Our ADR director is Ruben Arvizu, who, from what I can tell, mostly dubbed a lot of stuff Media Blasters put out around this time. My Buddha, Early Rains, Mouse. Early Rains is apparently like a western that actually looks potentially interesting. I've never heard of it before, though, so it might just be bad. And our scriptwriter is Diane Smith, who did scriptwriting for a show called Urda, and that's it. They are mostly a casting and production coordinator.
Fun!
Yeah. And who's in this? Well, more names that you recognize than you might expect, frankly. Starting off, we have Densuke Mifune. He is our doormat. Our bland protagonist that I guess you're supposed to, like, insert yourself into, although I don't know why, unless you really enjoy being humiliated. He's a character. And he is being played by Bryce Papenbrook, who I think might have still been, like, a literal teenager, or, like, at most in his early 20s when he recorded this.
Probably.
He certainly sounds like it. Obviously, Bryce is a big name now, but back in the day, he was known for things like Aiko in Amai Buddha and playing itty bitty little Vash in like one scene of Trigun.
Yeah, that's it.
They needed
he's grown on to have a titanic career, you could say.
Oh yeah, he has done much better for himself than his humble roots would suggest. So good for him. He doesn't have to take roles like this anymore. And also we have ladies. Lots of ladies.
Teddy!
Sorry, what?
You mean boobies.
Yeah, that too. Boobs. Breasts. Huge tracts of land. One of these huge tracts of land is attached to a woman named Chiharu Shinonome, who is very shy and bashful, and her anatomy upsets me a little bit.
Somehow this bitch has magic boobs that keep growing every time we see her.
Yeah, there was a guy who was on Justice League for a little bit, who I think just to amuse himself, Power Girl was part of the Justice Society, and Power Girl was one of the members at the time. I think for a couple of issues, he would just draw her breasts slightly bigger every time she showed up. I think mostly just to see if he could get away with it. And this feels like that, except it just kept going and no one told him to stop.
Listen, did they ever actually tell the DC person to stop, or...
I assume... this was back in, like, I think the 70s, so I'm assuming at some point the editor was like, Wally, what is this foolishness?
Before Rob Liefeld would put tits on anything.
Oh... Anyways, who's playing this? Well, technically, the Chiharu is being played by Becky Chang. This is Becky Chang's only credited role because technically Becky Chang doesn't exist. From what I've been able to tell, Becky Chang is a one-off pseudonym that Stephanie Sheh was using. Stephanie Sheh, obviously, is Stephanie Sheh. But not at this point in her career. Pre-Naruto, pre-Bleach, pre-everything else she would go on to in the back half of the 2000s and onward. Nowadays, if you know her at this point, if you knew her for anything, it was stuff being like Kiri and Girls Bravo, Hazuki and Mouse, a few other sort of fan servicey trash shows, and Mamimi and Fooly Cooly. I'm also glad she doesn't have to take work like this anymore. This is... But Densuke and Chiharu vaguely have a thing happening, I guess. They interact, I suppose. But Densuke is not the only one who has his eyes set on Chiharu. He also has to deal with the competing affections of a guy named Shima Kurosawa,
who walks around in a Speedo.
He is the nominal smooth operator, although we later learned that he's wearing a wig, so you know.
Yeah.
And has a bunch of identical maids who follow him around, or his lackeys.
Yeah.
You can't see me shrugging, but, like, there's not a lot, the show is so thin on plot, and yet I have so many questions anyways. It's very weird.
Yeah, really.
Shima is being played by Grant George, who would also go on to much better things. He's Lancer in Fate Zero. And among other roles, he's Hawk in Initial D, and one of my favorites, he's Keiichi in the old version of Higurashi from back in the day. Who else? More ladies. It's all gonna be ladies from here on out. There's like two other male characters, and they don't really matter. Sorry, I think both guys named Dave? No, Dan and Dave. Sorry, Dan and Dave. We're not gonna talk about you this episode. We'll talk about you in other things that are good. Going through the list, we have Kirika Misono, who is the purple-haired lady who's way too energetic.
Oh, yeah.
And just...
The little 11-year-old girl.
No, not...
Not her.
No, not her. Not her, the big one.
Oh, yeah, the leader.
See, this is how bad it is, folks. We can't keep these characters straight. We just watch this.
Yeah.
Yes, she's the big lady with... I mean, half of them have obnoxiously large breasts. It's hard to... Yeah. My point being, she is being played by Cindy Robinson, who around now you would have known for such roles as Chiyako in Marmalade Boy, Midori in Green Green, and Alice in Early Rains. We have Lynn Grace, who's a blonde lady who's apparently a British rock star, according to something I read. Like, that's her backstory.
Yeah, but she also, like, went to China.
Yeah, that's why she's wearing one of those Chinese dresses I never remember the name of all the time.
Yeah.
She is the only character she's the only female character in the show whose anatomy does not upset me and does not seem like a colossal nightmare to be around. I think she technically wins Best Girl by default.
Yeah, she's like the only normal one there.
Only one. Oh, and she is being played by... Did you look up the cast ahead of time? Aside from what I posted in the chat, and you can obviously read right now.
I did a little bit to see who played her, and I was shocked.
Shocked. Ladies, gentlemen, non-binary people, humans, and sentient beings of all sorts listening to this. Lynn Grace here is being played by Mona Marshall.
Who
Izzy.
I know exclusively has little boys.
Izzy from Digimon. Luciola from Last Exile. Also,
Luciola, pour one out.
Yeah, exactly. Also, a character in Apocalypse Zero, a show I wish we were covering, because that's at least exciting and it's bad.
Oh, man! I watched that very drunk one year.
Somebody Discotech, license rescue that one.
Yeah, Discotech, if you license and rescue Apocalypse Zero, I'm pretty sure Hardy, Amon, and I would do it.
Absolute. That's the kind of trash I want to talk about.
Man, we gotta do a Mad Bull 34 episode one day.
Oh, that'd be so good. Put that one on the list.
That would be more entertaining than Eiken.
This episode is going to be 40 minutes of us talking about the actual show and 50 minutes talking about all the shows we could be doing instead.
Yeah.
Oh. Next up, we have Kamoe Harumachi, who is appears to be about 3 feet tall, and both of her boobs are about the size of the rest of her body combined.
She's also 11.
Also 11, has glasses. Very upsetting to look at.
Is clumsy.
This is the extent of her personality, in as much as any of these characters have more than one recognizable trait. She is being played by Reba West, which is a pseudonym for an actress named Rebecca Forstadt. We'll get to that why in a minute. You would know her for such roles as Rika in Higurashi. She's one of the people who plays the Tachikomas in Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex. She's Nunnally in Code Geass. And my favorite, she is the original OG Lin Minmay in Robotech from the 80s.
Robotech.
Oh.
Because you said Nunnally from Code Geass, that's the only voice I could hear out of that character. I'm just remembering the Code Ment version of Nunnally, which, if you've never seen Code Ment, do yourself the favor, look up Code Ment.
I will look up Code Ment.
Everyone knows what Code Ment is because I'm at Soup. That's where that comes from.
Okay, I've definitely seen more than that than at Soup, but like back when it came out, so I don't remember anything other than Soup anymore. So I'll have to check that out.
In my defense, my favorite joke in all of Code Ment is when they're broadcasting that they're going to be at the harbor in the boat, they just put up video of a killer whale, and it's like, that's a whale. That's a whale. And then again, that's still a fucking whale, chief. Like, that's a fucking whale, chief. Just kills me.
And still more entertainment humor than this show.
Yeah.
Who else? We also have Kyoko Moroka. She's a scientist. She is clearly even younger than Kamoe is. And she is also being played by Rebecca Forstadt, because there is a fair amount of double casting in this show. All the MC, there are a bunch of masters of ceremonies for this stupid competition that takes up most of this. All of them are played by some actress we have already mentioned, or are about to mention.
Yes.
Small cast. I already told you what Rebecca has been in. We have Yuriko Shinonome. She is Chiharu's sister. She has a cowlick, and she sounds exhausting.
I thought she was the Densuke's sister.
I think she's actually Chiharu's sister.
But she just calls Dens.
Yeah, she's a fucking weirdo.
Yeah, yeah.
That's all I could really suss out of that. Maybe the manga goes into more detail. I don't know.
I don't fucking know, and I don't want to find out.
I'm not bored enough to read that. I got a whole book from the library about the 13th floor elevators. It is like 400 pages. I could be reading that instead, and I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Oh. Anyway, yeah, she's very obnoxious, and she has some sort of weird sister con thing going on with Densuke. It's... Oof. She is being played by Jessica G, who was, you may know as, she was DG Charat. Do you remember DG Charat?
Oh, man.
Does that...
No. I never watched that.
Oh, me neither. I just remember seeing ads for it on things.
I remember what it is, but it's like, yeah, not really.
I think she's a cat girl. I want to say her hair is green.
I just remember, like, what was it? I just remember that the guy who wrote Cromartie High School liked that show.
Yeah,
Cromartie High School is another show that I'd rather be watching than this.
Yeah, after you're done with this episode, go listen to the Cromartie High episode again.
Fetish porn, blood pass. Also, listen to the Glepnir episode. It's probably more interesting than Eiken.
Absolutely. There are 5-minute segments of Gleipnir that are more interesting than the entire of Eiken. What else? Jessica G is also Mei Momozono in Mouse, and Francis Drake in Fate Extra Last Encore, because I guess Francis Drake is up at bat for being a male historical figure who's now a hot lady.
She's a hot pirate lady. At this point, what hasn't Fate made fuckable?
I don't know. I mean, that's at
Fate tried to make fucking Gitarai fuckable, which is a not very good thing.
Oh, Fate, you're a lot. And last and probably least, there's like a teacher who hangs out at the Eiken Club. I guess she's like the student. She's the faculty representative or something.
Yeah.
She gets antagonized. She's very high strung. She's being paid by Kathy Keller, who is actually Mary Devon, who you know for playing Haruka Urashima in Love Hina. Hey, Love Hina!
A better show than this.
Speaking of better, and for actual better show, she's Isabella in Paradise Kiss.
Yeah, there we go. That's a good show.
And in terms of things that people are actually hot for, she's Renamon in Digimon Tamers.
Yeah, not gonna. That is the king of fuckable Digimon.
All I know is from what people tell me, like, a lot of furries figured that out watching Digimon Tamers. I'd definitely rather watch this than that. Oh, sorry, that. I'd rather watch Digimon Tamers than this. Anyways, that's our cast. How should we approach this, Megan?
Well, for one, with a bat to the head.
Yeah, that'll work.
I guess I gotta talk about something that bothered me the whole time.
Shoot.
And that is the lack of creativity when it came to the word boobs. Mm-hmm. They just calling them boobies the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that this is a thing of the early 2000s where people were probably afraid to address the fact that there was an 11-year-old girl with 4 jumbo watermelons attached to her chest.
It's like someone stapled some weather balloons to her.
Definitely. So she's gonna be the next kid that's on the news for apparently getting abducted by a weather balloon.
Oops.
I just want to say that there were so many ways that they could have said boobies. They could have said massive fucking titties, super stuffed up milkers, honker, donker, doingy boingies, fabric stretching, windy, flappy, gravity welling sex mounds, super duper ultra goddamn motherfucking tits. I'm just saying, but now you are all imagining the mid-2000s 2010 story about the boy who was lied about getting abducted by a weather balloon by his parents in Colorado. Which frankly would be a better fate for poor Densuke than Densuke hitting every letter of the fetish window, the fetish tree, as he ejected himself from the net, because Bryce, bless his heart, sounds about as well-tuned as a Tesla whose autopilot has suddenly locked them out of their own car in the cold.
This is not his finest performance.
It's still not the worst I've ever heard him.
What's the worst you've heard him in?
Brothers Conflict, where he played a 10-year-old and threw his voice so high that I thought it was just unsustainable and they should have gotten a female actress. Man,
that's rough.
Yeah, Brothers Conflict, one of the routes is with a 10-year-old. Who is also your stepbrother. But, like, God, I do want to commend the women of this show for having to do any acting, especially poor, who's the one that keeps wanting to fuck him that isn't the one he wants to fuck?
Is that Yuriko, I think? The cowlick?
Yeah, Yuriko.
Jessica G.
Yeah. Jessica G has to play the second worst character in the show behind poor Harumachi. Because that character wants to fuck a guy she calls her brother, and at one point she has to make moaning noises as they're going down a yogurt slide, and his fingers are in her mouth. And I'm like, alright, show, we have hit pedophilia, we've hit teachers, we've hit dominatrix, we've hit Chinese Asian fetishing, we've hit NTR became a thing later on.
Fetishes before they were even well-known fetishes.
Yeah. Foot fetish. Can't forget the foot. The eternal foot fetish. But poor Jessica G's gotta play this sister with, and she does play her with a lot of energy of the obnoxious Emoto energy. It's just, she's working with a toothpick over the Grand Canyon.
Thinking about this dub made me think of contexts where, you've seen like kind of a lousy movie where the acting isn't good, but it feels appropriate for the material and its lousiness, kind of.
Yeah.
A lot of performances in here feel like they fall into that category. Like, they're not good, but they are at least correct. And
yeah,
Jessica G she gives her gusto for this really grating, obnoxious character. And she, in that really narrow context, she is good.
Yeah. And in that really narrow context, Bryce is perfectly fine.
He definitely sells me as, like, some wimpy teenager who
keeps falling upward.
That's a doormat.
Cindy Robinson, I think, would fit in there, too, as Kirika, and honestly, Mona Marshall, because Mona Marshall didn't have to give us the effort in the scene where he's like, I'm a failure, I'm never gonna win her back, and stuff, and it's like, you don't have to believe my fortunes, believe in yourself, you can do good things, and like, I legitimately didn't think that was Mona Marshall, because that sounded way too adult for Mona Marshall. I have one thing where Mona Marshall plays an adult, and that's Fire Emblem Heroes, but the rest of it's like...
No, it's like, what does Mona Marshall sound like? She doesn't sound like Izzy from Digimon in her walking around voice? That's all I've ever heard from her. Or characters like Lucio, who sound just like that.
Yeah, or the one guy in Blue Exorcist that she plays.
Exactly.
Like I said, I'm used to Mona Marshall playing men all the time. If I had to give one of the worst performances in this show, that is Grant George. Grant George sounds so flat and so wooden.
I see, watching this reminded me of something. It clawed something out of the recesses of my memory.
As terrible ecchi does.
As it does. Years ago, when he was still making videos, Jacob Chapman did a video on Eiken. And I think this is where it's from. I remember him covering some shitty harem show where he mentioned that one of the actors sounded like Microsoft Sam. And I'm now pretty sure that he was talking about Grant George. And leave me to wonder, is he doing that on purpose?
I mean, if I was forced to be an Eiken, I would too.
Like there are aspects of this where I am wondering, like, were they treating this as a little bit of a joke, or just keeping themselves amused? Because, like, the recording sessions for this could not have been long, and this is such a non-existent show. Like, were they just like, how flat can I make this performance? Can I sound like a robot?
Can I? It's like, how low can you go with the limbo? Except for under the limbo the bar's on fire, and under the limbo bar is in fact a pool of gasoline.
Oh, I don't know how to describe it. It feels. I have seen.
It's stiff like a Woody, but it's like a Woody from Larry King, which is somehow a more cursed image than anything in Eiken.
It is weird how tame this show feels. It's.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Years of this being, like, the most painful ecchi to watch, and now that I've seen it, it's just like, did I change, or was it just never that grotesque to begin with?
I think the thing that probably annoys a lot of people is that, like, that one girl's 11, and to me, actually, the most gross thing was the idea that an eel swam up someone's ass. Like, the poor, like, I would also say, along the lines of just not good performances, is Kathy Keller. The teacher is just, it's just, there's no energy to it, there's no heart and soul, which, I mean, fair, it's Eiken, but,
it has all the hallmarks of she's just...
I'm here for the paycheck.
Yep, I'm getting paid. This is gonna take, like, maybe 30 minutes of my life, and I get paid at the end of it. Sure, whatever.
Probably not very well, but you did get paid.
Honestly...
well, this is also Media Blaster, so did she actually get paid?
Dear John... Do you have some financial records I could look at?
Like, honestly, in terms of, like, Morika and Harumachi and the teacher, like, they are by far the very clear winners of the come on down and collect your paycheck. I genuinely didn't really feel a lot out of their performances. Like, that's the thing was, like, a lot of times when there's a bad performance in an anime, it tends to stand out for how obnoxious it is. Mm-hmm. Like, example of which you haven't been subjected to yet because I haven't been able to come back to Anime Boston. Mm-hmm. And I can't this year again. It terribly upsets me, and I'm going to force everybody to come back up next year. Especially if Brainchild goes again. Shout out to Adr Megan. Mm-hmm. You've never been subjected to... I don't think you've been subjected to the Neurotica Murder OVA where you can hear how bad
you showed me this on Discord. No, I remember this.
Okay, yeah, but did you get to hear the audio for yourself?
I think I did. I definitely I remember you watching it. Now that I think about it, I don't remember very much about it now.
Exactly. Like, the lead performance in that was effectively more worse and grating than the worst performance in this. Like, the worst performance in this is just very much, I guess it's happening.
It exists.
Yeah, and that's kind of my feeling about this dub is it exists.
It's the audio equivalent of just, like, kind of generic matter, just like carbon that exists in a form.
It's like putting on a so let me get his name. It's like putting on a Roland Emmerich movie as white noise.
Yeah, like, say, there is action, there is technically story and characters, but it's a Roland Emmerich movie.
Like, yeah, they can be entertaining. Like, I'm not gonna say Independence Day, which scared the living fuck out of me as a child, isn't entertaining in some way, but, like, are you really gonna put on, like, 2012 and think to yourself that I'm going to get, like, engagement from my neurons Or am I putting it on because I want shiny keys?
There's a real like movie you watch at 3 p.m. on a Sunday or a Saturday about this. I'm just like, it's on.
Yeah, and like, I guess maybe this is because the times have changed so much. Because like, it's a surprise to most viewers who don't know. Amon and I are in our 30s.
Yep.
We've been around the block longer than most anime fans have been alive. Like, back in our day, like, ecchi was, I wouldn't want to say a dime a dozen, but they were so much more different from the schlock we get today.
Yeah.
Like, for one, a lot of ecchi dubs that come out today, have effort put behind them. As opposed to this. To which, I can't even really comment on Stephanie Shea's performance, because her performance can just be summed up as a wilting flower.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a shame, because I think Stephanie Shea is arguably the most talented actress in this whole dub.
Probably. Like, I am glad that in a couple of years of this, Stephanie Shea was in, like, a couple of really big-name shows, and I'm sure those helped get her platforms to get better work and in things that actually make use of her talent, because this ain't it.
Would a couple of years after this be, like, Eureka 7?
Oh, I mean, I think, like, the year after this, she gets cast as, like, Hinata in Naruto and Orihimo in Bleach, and Eureka 7, I think, probably would have been, like, a couple years after that, so, like...
No, I'm pretty sure... I thought Eureka 7 came out before Bleach and Naruto.
I don't know. In my memory, it's not.
I gotta look this up now.
In my memory, it's not, but also a lot of times I judge things by, like, when I saw it on TV, and frankly, it's been long enough that I'm not sure that's even correct anymore anyway, so...
Okay, so Eureka 7 as an anime came out in 2005.
Oh my god, is it that early?
Yeah, it came out April 2005.
Jeez.
And ran for a year.
There we go. And according to ANN, it started broadcasting on Cartoon Network in, like, 2000, like, the next year after that. So, yeah, you're
when
right.
I finished.
You're right.
Yeah, no, Naruto was first, because Naruto started in October of 2002.
There we go.
Which, oh my god, the Naruto anime is 20 years old this year.
Oh.
And Bleach's anime wouldn't start until October 22.
Oh
so.
Boy.
October 22 is the new one where it's coming out. It started in October in 2004, so Eureka 7 was, like, after that, but I need to also make sure that Eureka 7 she was actually in Eureka 7! Okay, good, because she was Eureka. So
okay,
I was like...
alright.
I was like, good god, okay.
This is a weird window into that, what I feel like was ultimately a very short period where Stephanie Shea would be in stuff like this, because she wasn't Stephanie Shea yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's absolutely wasted here. Like, this could have been anybody. It's not even funny in, like, oh my god, they get Frank Langella to play Skeletor, and he, like, took it really seriously? Like, it doesn't even have that quality to it.
Yeah, this isn't like, because I know we were talking about, like, how ecchi back then is, like, ecchi is, like, a different beast. Now, like, nowadays, like, fairly large-named actors are, like, A-okay with being in that shit. Mm-hmm. Like, what was it? Like, no one really used an alias in, like, Super SH Heroes, or whatever. I know, like, some people, I think, did for, what was the other ecchi that came out that some people used an alias for, but I can't remember, but, like, I've heard more people express wanting to use an alias for handshakers than ecchi. And, like I said, me and you have both been around the block where it's like, I guess a weird way to, I think, explain it was, Nick from A&N, Lost Thief, did, when he did his write-up of, World End Era, which is an ecchi show that is airing right now, that, is so blatantly about what it's about, that, like, last week, one of the episodes was literally just their terrible black, like, glitch screen censor. And they have to censor, like, tongue kisses because the animators can't draw tongues. But he talked about how so much of ecchi is just so single-target focused fetishes, or that they're so extreme that they're devoid of anything sexy in the first place. So it's like, I'm less annoyed that ecchi exists, and more annoyed that, like, a lot of it gets praised for just the fact that, oh, it's sexy, I'm cultured, when it's, like, the most boring, bland shit. And I've seen more sexual tension in a show about a guy who dresses up like a wrestling heel and skateboards.
There's a real what is it? I saw a piece of music criticism that I think that this was back when like Lady Gaga was still relatively new. This was during like around the time her first album had come out and she was already a big star. And I think they were talking about one of her videos, and they were observing that there's something funny about the fact that usually for a pop star of the variety that Lady Gaga wants to be, will usually go for a while before they kind of hit the point where like they will make videos that are like very sexual, but they're not really erotic in any way. Like it's all the signifiers of sex without any of the energy behind it. And that's what this feels like. It's like all the images are there, but like who is actually going to find this attractive? Like, you know, like law of averages, sure, somebody, but like who?
Yeah. Clearly is neither of us, and it's not like either of us are relatively sex repulsed or asexual or and like, let's be real, like, this is very much aimed at heterosexual guys unabashedly.
And speaking as a heterosexual guy, it's like there is a what is it? If you read the manga of No Guns Life, there is like a chapter opening spread that is like Junzo and Olivia like sitting on a couch curled up with each other, and that one image has more sexual charge than like the whole 60 minutes of this thing.
Yeah, and one of the things too is that it does carry over in vocal performances. Like, I'll be real with you, like, we haven't done an episode on it yet, and the girls will be doing an episode on this when the show is done its second season. The case study of Vanitas. There is a scene between Noe and Dominique, and the sexual tension in Stephen Fu's voice in like 30 seconds did more than this entire show's vocal work did in an hour. And I mean, like, I made this analogy about handshakers, where if you're thrown into a hole this bad and given tools to get out, you're only going to be able to get out of the giant hole to an extent. Like, it's very, and even more so, like, Handshakers was done by arguably, because as of this recording, they're being folded into Crunchyroll, by Funimation, who puts a decent amount of effort into the stuff that they produce. Like, it's, like, I mean, it's not like Media Blasters is gonna come to my house and beat the shit out of me. I'll fight them off with a wooden spoon and 2 dogs. But, like, it's Media Blasters in the early 2000s. That's like asking the guy on the corner in New York who's selling... It's like the equivalency of getting a picture with Elmo, but it's one of the Times Square Elmos.
Oh... Look, if the Media Blaster guy hears, he'd probably be like, it is garbage, you're correct.
Yeah, like, when I say I literally was like, this is an hour of my life I'm never gonna get back. I think it's because I wasted an hour of my life watching this to give this a actual straightforward review. Like, like, I mean, credit where credit's due. Someone probably finds this sexy. I'm not gonna kink shame you. Maybe about the 11-year-old, but everything else, like, everyone else is, I guess, like, fair game.
if really, really over exaggerate proportions do it for you, like, live your life, man. I'm not gonna give you grief for it, but
I mean, people find current Nami's design sexy, and that's a whole other fucking bag of worms. But I think the thing is, like, it's less that, like, you shouldn't take your time to watch this dub because, ew, it's sexual and ew, it's pedophilic. It's because it's boring.
This show is about 60 minutes. Bob Dylan's Blonde on Blonde is also about 60 minutes. I know which is the better 60 minutes to spend.
You could spend 60 minutes watching the first 2/3 of the movie Empire of Corpses.
And when you're done with that hour, you get to the part where a man fist fights a Frankenstein. It's perfect.
Yeah, you could waste your time on better things. Like, even if I was gonna suggest, like, better ecchi, you can use 60 minutes to watch 2 episodes of Shimonetta, which was a better show with a better dub.
Exactly.
Like, you can use it to watch, I don't know, like, fucking Nagatoro or Uzaki, which are both probably better shows than this, and have more substance to them. Like, I mean, if you wanted to really watch a good show that had sexuality to it, as of the time of this recording, and has a good dub for it, like, go watch My Dress Up Darling, which has more sensuality to it than this in, like, 2 minutes than this show has in its entire 60-minute run, and honestly, it has a better dub. Like, this dub is very schlocky and crap, but, like, it's serviceable and not the worst thing I've ever watched in the world.
Yeah, it's very functional, but, like, imagine what, like, Stephen Foster would have done with this.
Really. It's functional, and you know what? So is a Kia Forte, but it's a Kia Forte. Like, you know what's functional? The New York subway system. Doesn't mean it's very good!
You make a good point. I can't argue with that. Yeah, this show is... It's almost weird watching this and being so underwhelmed by it. I was expecting...
Yeah!
Ah, well, you can't win them all, I guess.
One day you and I will find a brighter dumpster fire to watch explode and talk about it together, but today was not that day.
Nope. But, well, look, heck, we can probably even find something for Media Blasters. They put out a lot of trash.
One day Mom will let us review Bible Black. No, we will never actually review hentai. Mom will kill us.
Yeah, no, we have a line. It's on the other side of that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know it was more fun to cover than this, and I know we were both on that episode.
What?
Fucking Island of Giant Insects.
1000%.
There's a good... If you could find that dub, go waste an hour of your time on that fucking movie.
Like,
that's how it's done.
That's better sleazy trash on the dub side, and frankly, it's better sleazy trash on the actual, like, movie show side, too. Like, that's way more committed to being, like, hot garbage.
Yeah, like... Has anybody ever slam dunked your basket? No, and I don't think you know sports very well.
See?
Like,
one line, already better.
Man, can we just fucking let Lenti redub Eiken with a dub like that? Like, I'd fucking rewatch Eiken if they got that
Absolutely. There are a bunch of people working in English dubs right now who, if you just said, like, here's a show, here's a budget, here's like a list of demands from the JP side, you can't follow on that, go nuts, do whatever you want.
Yeah, there we go. I normally don't call for that, but, like, in this case, it's Eiken. Is anybody going to actually be upset? And it's not like we're erasing the original, actual, straightforward English dub.
No.
Nor the idea of the sub existing, because you can, unfortunately, if you'd like to, watch both online legally.
Yes, you can.
I'm good if you're good,
no,
man.
I don't know what else to say. I feel like we have discussed what little we enjoyed about it, our many grievances. Yeah, if you would like to watch this, if you have If someone puts a gun to your head and says you can either get shot or watch an hour of Eiken, please don't get shot. Like, your life's more valuable than that. You can watch it on Crunchyroll. It is available on Blu-ray and I think also DVD from Media Blasters. If you want to listen to more of our stuff, such as any of the episodes we mentioned in this episode that you can follow this up with, we are the Dub Talk Podcast. You are probably listening to us on YouTube. You can find us on our page there. We are also on Podbean, which distributes itself to various other podcasting platforms. Listen to us there. We are also on Twitter and Twitch. What are you streaming these days on the old Twitch?
I haven't been streaming much, but usually if I am, I'm streaming probably Fire Emblem Three Houses.
There you go. And I'm usually streaming some indie game that no one's heard of. But you can find us there and look up our schedule and watch us as we play video games and try to amuse you. We also have a Patreon where you can help financially support us making this podcast, which we are very thankful for. And if you donate at the $5 tier or the $10 tier, you'll get your name shouted out in an episode, such as... Thank you to our $5 tier, Julia W., Michelle Travis, Nico Robin, but with Yowie hands, and Victor Maybaroda. And thank you to our $10 tier, Anthony Brown, Carly Lesticow, Crimson Echidna, Jacob Wilson, Jared Hawkins, Marissa Lenti, and Otaku Anthony. Thank you all so much. We really appreciate it. Megan, where can people find you on the internet?
You can follow me at Queenera2 on Twitter.
And you can follow me at AmonDuelUS on Twitter. Duel has 2 U's. And I have a dusty old song for us.
Oh boy, hit me with it.
Oh, well, this is... I had to think, what's something that's both real... What's really stupid? And then I thought, hey, what's the funniest version of that in terms of, like, context? So there's this band called The Fugs. F-U-G-S. They're from the 60s. They were founded by a pair of poets who decided, hey, this rock thing sounds fun. They have the distinction, I believe, of being the first rock group who get to say fuck on a record.
Oh, nice.
They were not big enough that the FBI has a dossier on there, but they do have a dossier on the doors that has some correspondence about the Fugs, where they are, quote, called the most vulgar thing the human mind could possibly conceive.
God bless.
If you listen to it now, absolutely very vulgar in, like, the mid-60s. Some of the shock is worn off at this point, but they are pretty funny. And I'm going to recommend a song from their first album called Boobs a Lot, which is about boobs, football, and jerking off in that order. Also, it does not have a title track, but they do have an album from a few years later called It Crawled Into My Hand, Honest, and I feel like I wish it had a title track, because I feel like that's the unofficial anthem for this entire genre of anime. I swear it was an accident. Someone put a banana here!
Oh god, yes.
Oh, we didn't even... Bananas. We're done. Let's not, yeah. We're done. Thank you for listening. We appreciate your time.
We hope that you will join us on another endeavor one day that is better than this one.
Mm-hmm. Rock over Boston, rock on Chicago. Good night.
Have a good night. Otaku one, my friends.
Guys, really? Another Eiken fake out? What is this? The second year in a row we're planning to do this? Goodness gracious. God, the joke's old. Alright, both of you, out. Get out. Nope, we're not doing this again. Get out. Alright, let's actually do this now. Hello, one and all, and welcome to Dub Talk, the podcast where we talk about the latest and greatest in English dubs. My name is Stephanie, and today my friends and I will be talking about the greatest anime to grace our screens, Master of Martial Arts.